Right, oh, that was the wrong button. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In the last episode, we built the most simple of trains. This is the train that we are just going to be using for just general getting around, you know. We might add some storage, we might add another carriage at some point, but for the time being, this will suffice perfectly. But, in between episodes, now I won't lie to you, I did originally record it, and then I had a bit of an argument with the replay mod, and broke it, basically. So, between episodes, I have laid track to all the way over there. It's actually further than that. About 3,000 blocks that way. So that we can get over there. But the trouble is, you see, the track... I'm going the wrong way. The track... Oops. There we go. Is full of holes. If I go this way, in theory we should come across one. There you go. You can see there the track just stops because it decided that there was blocks in the way. So it decided there were blocks in the way, but you know. So today we are going to talk about moving trains very briefly, because we need to move this train off this track, and we are going to build a contraption, or a train, not a contraption, I suppose it is technically a contraption, to fix this track for us, because let's face it, I'm too lazy. So, hello, let's get cracking. First of all, how to move trains. It's incredibly simple. All you gotta do, let's come a little bit over here, so here-ish. Need a section of track big enough to fit your train onto. You can obviously do that along the same track, but we need this train moved. You then interact with a wrench, and you see the train has been moved, which then tidies up this station nicely for our fixing machine. But first, let's see how much of the stuff we need that we can craft, because it may have to be that I have to do a crafting montage with you all. Right, so first thing we're going to need is a handful of these things, some mechanical rollers. Excuse me, which are going to be a pain in the backside to craft. So, yes, we are going to need a crafting montage, but let's do a quick equipment list, as it were. Oops, we're going to need some mechanical rollers, we're going to need 2 deployers, which we already know what they are. Other things, what else will we need? We'll need some drills, quite a few drills, but I'll just steal them from our existing drill and then put them back later. Some inventories that aren't vaults, so we've got some barrels, that's fine. Yes, okay. So the main thing is the rollers and the deployers. So I think I'm going to do a cut, because that is going to take me a while and it won't be the most interesting for you guys. It'll just be me running around in here. So I'm going to do a quick cut. Okay, hello, welcome back. I've tried to be stood in exactly the same place, facing the same direction, so that cut was as seamless as possible. But it in fact did take me, not actually as long as I was expecting, to be fair, about half an hour. So yeah, we have our mechanical rollers, we have our 2 deployers. I can't actually remember what else we said, so I'm hoping that's enough. And I've also got a singular crushing wheel, because crushing wheels comes in 2s, but we only needed 7 of the rollers. Now I do just need to nab a bunch of drills off of here. So let's just work out how many we're going to need. So 7... like 9 by 5, I think. So what's 9 times 5? Somebody who's good at maths. What's 9 times 5? 45. The joke there being I have half an A level in maths. 1, 2. I've already forgotten how many I said. 45. by the way, I very much regret making this drill, because I needed all of this iron when I was making all the tracks. And look at all those bolts that are almost entirely pointless to me. So I'm going to remove at least one of them and use it for something else, because like, I don't know why I did that. It was completely pointless. I was basically just showing off. Right. Anyway, in Britain we drive on the left, so if that's going that way, we want our other track over here, which means that's probably going to be in the way. And yes, I said other track because this is a track that we're going to be using to have multiple trains on. We want two tracks going in different directions so that we don't have trains waiting for ages and ages and ages for one to park up before another can move. And yes, we could have like lay-bys and things, and you do it like the good old Cornish lanes, but that's a bit rubbish really, isn't it? So, we're obviously going to need to create new train and have an bogie. One thing I have forgotten is train controls, so I will get on that. Train controls. Okay, with a lever I can do that, that's fine. So, the first thing we need is some rollers of the mechanical variety. Okay, that can stay there for the minute, that should be alright. So they're all going to go on there, and come to think of it, they don't want to go quite there. They need to go a bit further. So, the first thing that we will need, Mark II, is some déployés, which are going to go there. I think they need to go block higher, don't they? Yes, that looks more right, because we want them to be placing tracks. So we want to put one of them there. 1, 2, 3 blocks. Yep, and then one of them there. Rotate, and I'm just going to have that facing that way so that it's symmetrical, otherwise it'll annoy me. Yep. And then one of those there, and then we can put on the rollers. Yes, and I have put that deployer in the right place. Now, I need my tracks. I have made quite a lot of track in the last episode, so I'm hoping we'll have enough today, but I'm not holding out the greatest amount of hope, because I kept running out yesterday, so I dread to think what it's going to be like today. So, a few barrels on there. And then in one of these barrels, let's just put a bunch of the tracks that I've got. Now, if I remember correctly, deployers are quite clever with the placing of tracks, which would be really useful, but there's also the off chance that they're not. So, I don't know how automatic this is going to end up being. We might have to come around and fix it. That's not going to be enough tracks, by the way. But it'll do for now. Now, these rollers, is what we really want to be talking about today, are fantastic. So, let's just talk through what you've got. You've got roller mode. Now, if I adjust this roller mode, it will adjust the roller mode for all the rollers in the same line. So if you want the rollers to be doing different things, you need to put them in different lines. So, this roller, we have pave, which just puts a single layer of blocks. You have straight fill, which will say if you go over a river or whatever, it will place blocks all the way down to the ground. And you have sloped fill, which is the same but on a slope. We're going to be sticking with pave because I'm not rich enough in blocks. Though, come to think of it, I would like to remove this middle roller, put some sort of inventory in the middle. Doesn't have to be inventory, it could just be a block, and put that there, and then that will be set to a different block than all of the others. I think. Yeah, let's do that, just for a little bit of prettiness. I'm not going to be bothering to decorate that much, but the other thing that rollers do is they clear out all the blocks in their path, which is good, because if I were to put drills here, the drill that's in the middle there would break all of the track, which would sort of betray the point. So using rollers is good because it won't break the track. But speaking of drills, we need to put a bunch of drills on here. So there are some moments where we're going to have to do some tunnelling, so that's what these are for. So we're just going to come out a block further in either direction to make sure that we've got plenty of space in our tunnels, and then just go up. And again, I'm not going to be decorating these tunnels. I'm not going to do another beardstone and say, I will eventually decorate these tunnels, just not yet, because I'm too lazy. I'm going to say up front, I'm not decorating these tunnels. I do not have the time, energy, or botheredness for that. I will try and make them a slightly nicer shape, though, so let's just do... No, let's do that. There you go, that's quite a nice tunnel shape, isn't it? So, basically that's that done. The only thing, come to think of it, that I need to do, so I need to remove all of these drills, actually, is you need to set the block for a roller. A roller won't just default, like a deployer will default to whatever block, if you don't tell it what block to use, it will default to whatever block is in the first slot of the first inventory. A roller won't do that, you have to set the block, I think. Don't quote me on that. I might have just made that up, but from what I remember, that is the case. So, we've got a butt ton of deep slate, so let's use a butt ton of deep slate. It looks vaguely roadish, so let's get like 20 stacks, so let's do like that. And then we also want a butt ton of cobble, because that's what's going to go in the middle. Something like that. And then that should all come in here. I love a good automatic storage system. I'm sure I should have more deep slate than that. Where have my deep slate got stuck somewhere? Ah, it's just that it couldn't spit it out. Okay, that's acceptable, I suppose. Right, let's get a bunch of stuff out of my inventory. I can go down to storage for this. I love a good automatic storage system. Keep all of that. And yeah, all of that can go. There we go, right. Let's start with the deep slate. Well, that wasn't what I meant to do, but okay. Let's start with the cobblestone then. Now, what options do we have? Not a great many, so we'll stick with basic cobble for our cobblestone sections. But deep slate, we should have some options. I was hoping the create mod would add some bonus options for deep slate, but apparently not. You know, like it does for granite and things. Because what I'd like is polished deep slate that doesn't have the border on it. But apparently I need something like chipped for that, which I don't have. Let's just go basic, mainly because I can't be bothered to do a thing, stone cut all of this deep slate. There we go, right, that's probably not going to be enough, to be honest with you all. But it'll be enough for a demonstration, and then I can do the rest, hopefully in a time-lapse if I can get... probably won't use the replay mod, I've got a bit of an irk against it now, but yeah, I'll try and do a time-lapse for you all. But yeah, we just need to fill up these barrels, and also, so you see you've got your roller mode here, next to it is where you set the block, and you see that whole row got set at once, and then this whole row will get set at once as well. And then we can just chuck all of our deep slate in there, grab all this cobble can go in there. I am actually going to grab a butt ton more deep slate, probably got enough cobble. That's probably more than enough cobble. But we're going to need more deep slate. Now I'm very on the fence about whether I want to build bridges, so I might, at some point, make an automatic bridge machine with some sort of clever schematic thing in it. So if that's sort of something that you'd be interested in, a machine to automatically build bridges for you, stick around. Because that's probably going to happen at some point. Because thinking about it, that's a really cool idea. There we go. Right, bunch more cobbled deep slate. Now, for those of you wondering, why don't I just stick my backpack on this rather than faffing about transferring all the deep slate over? And the answer is because it doesn't work like that. The create mod, in order to work with either of the sophisticated storage mods, requires an add-on mod that we don't have. Which I've done quite intentionally so that I don't do that. I have to use vaults, I have to use barrels. So, yeah. Right, so let's just make a lever. That's immensely ironic. I think we can afford to steal a single piece of cobblestone from there, don't you? Right, lever. Train controls. Probably want a seat as well. Oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I will make one later. And when is later, I hear you ask? Well, it's not now. Yeah, we want this to be quite close to the edge, so let's put it right here. Facing that way. Thank you. Right. Oh, this might complain because it will want forward-facing train controls, so we might have to make another set, actually. Which I probably want anyway, come to think of it, so yeah, let's do that so that we can go in both directions. Ooh, I've run out of train casings, actually, which shouldn't be an issue, because somewhere around here I have some sturdy sheets and some brass casings. I like this being pre-prepared, Lark. Actually having the things that I need. Doesn't happen often, does it? Right, give me that. If you're wondering why I'm using barrels rather than just blocks, it's because with something like this, depending on how big a hill we end up going through, it's good to have more inventory than you think you need. Yeah. And the reason I'm using barrels and not vaults is because I can't be bothered to make an unloading system for this. I just want to be able to go in and take all the things out. Right. Let's go see if we've got some wool to make a seat. I've definitely got some slabs. Yep, we've got some wool, I'll have that, thank you. Got a really itchy nose today. Yes, you all need to know that. Seat. Seat, wonderful. It is deceit. Thank you for the one person who laughed at that joke. I thought it was quite good, and then I said it out loud and realised actually that was terrible. Yeah. Can I not get up on this anymore? Fantastic. I'll just make another barrel then. In fact, let's make another 2, just to be, you know, something. To be something. Right, there we go. We just need to put all the drills on now, which hopefully shouldn't take too long. Oops. Provided I can place them facing the right direction. that. The gaps in the corners are just for prettiness, there's literally no other reason. But yeah, that is pretty much this done, I think. I mean, I can't think of anything else that could potentially be a thing that needs to happen. So let's get it glued together and see if it works. Now I think I've mentioned this before, but it is in fact more efficient in terms of lag to glue your entire build together at once. I learnt this from Foxy No-Tail, I'm not taking credit for it. So if you are doing gluing, the sort of instinct, at least for me, is to glue together just single pieces so that you don't get these big boxes. It's just, yeah. But apparently it is more lag efficient to glue everything together in one big box if you can, which evidently I have failed at miserably here, but there you go. And I'm now thoroughly confused and don't know what's stuck to what, so this is going to be entertaining. Assemble train. Right, let's just move it and see what we've got. Nothing. Okay, that's quite good for me. So let's just bring it all the way back until it runs out of track, when we can stop controlling the train. Come on here. This is quite fun, this bit. I quite like this. And then, observe. So you see we are placing cobbled deep slates and we are placing tracks. When we get to these blocks, if I just move the camera around, you can see that we are breaking them. Now, that is a bit of an issue with the deployers, but that's okay. We will have to come through and fix a lot of this anyway. And you can see we're going a little bit slower now. So yeah, the deployers are going to need some fixing, but that's okay. We can handle that. I might actually remove the deployer that is on my side, that's on the side that I've already placed actually no, I don't think I do want to do that. So we're going to have to come through and fix a lot of this. But that's okay, that is perfectly acceptable. Yeah, so I'm going to leave you all to a quick time lapse of me doing this. people, as you may have noticed, we barely even got halfway through that. And that is for one very simple reason. Basically, the deployers work brilliant on straight track, but for going diagonally they just have the screaming abdebs. So I am, at least for the time being, going to remove both deployers. I had a few ideas on how they could potentially be fixed, so I might look into that in the not too distant future, in maybe a creative testing world, but for the time being they are too much of a pain in the backside. I mean, this straight track is fine, barring these bits, but that's not too much of a problem to fix, because you can just go along and do that. But then slopes, just no. I mean, look at this, this is horrible. So let's just remove all of this. I mean, it's going to take me longer to go back through and fix all of this than it is for me to, if I were to just go along and place all this track in the first place. So yeah. And then you can see the diagonal, it's ended up placing 2, which I don't like. I only wanted that one. Which, like I say, I've got an idea of how to fix. This particular problem I think is fixable, but the thing with the slopes I'm not sure I can fix. Like I said, there's a few ideas knocking about in the old noggin of how we can fix all this, but for the time being I'm gonna go through, tear up all of this, and we will just do track laying manually for now. One thing I didn't know actually is that the mechanical rollers will actually place slabs when they feel they're necessary for slopes, so I was slightly worried about having holes in all of my slopes, but no, they're placing slabs, so no complaints from me. Hello again, welcome back. I know I keep interrupting your lovely time lapse, but on the bright side I'm sure you've got a variety of music coming on. I just thought I'd pop in for 3 reasons. First of all, to explain a little thing that I'm doing. So when you control a train, if you scroll with the scroll wheel, you can see that bar at the bottom wiggles around. That's basically your max speed. Now, because of the way the rollers work, they're a bit buggy at max speed if that's all the way over there. So I recommend setting it to 3 notches there, so then you can just hold the W key, rather than having to hold it and then release a little bit, and then hold it and then release a little bit. So that's just a little thing that I am doing. The second reason is I need to empty/fill up all of these. And the third reason is I've had an idea. It should be stated that it's a fairly terrible idea and almost certainly won't work. But I need to disassemble the train. Break, I think that block of track there. And put that there in its place, and then glue that onto the rest of the track. So hopefully that should mean that all of this track that we placed and we don't in fact want should get mined away. Hopefully. And then I can just chuck all that in there. Okay, these barrels are surprisingly not full of junk. It's just really that one. Okay, that's not so bad then. So I'll just go, it's only the cobble deep slate we need. As predicted, we had more than enough cobblestone. I suppose we need 6 times as much cobble deep slate as we do cobblestone, so that makes sense. So I'm going to be sat here clicking for a while. Actually, let's just take it up to like 3k. Yeah, give me that. Yes, the reason I'm not skipping off to a time lapse again is because I want to be with you lot while I'm testing my idea of the drill thing, to see if it works. Because if it does work, great, we can talk about it a bit. If it doesn't work, oh well, basically. So, yes. Oops, that was not the button I wanted. I get carpal tunnel doing this. Right, gimme. We will need more, but that's... Actually, we might as well, because we've got a backpack, haven't we? So, let's get another... Let 3k. Oh, one thing I can mention while we're here, is you see that little lock icon in the top right hand side of the interface there? If you click that, it just prevents other players from stealing your stuff. So if you're on a multiplayer server and you don't want your fellow players to just be able to come into your inventory and steal all of your good stuff, click that button. It's also useful if you're making a shop, because obviously you don't want players to just be able to reach into the inventory and steal the stuff. Right, what was I doing again? Oh yes, filling up all of these barrels. Ooh, that one's full too. Let's take all the dirt out, because dirt I can have something of a use for. It's always good to keep some dirt about oneself. There we are, right, plenty of cobble deep slate. We can reassemble the train now. And let's see, if we go back a bit, let's see if our drill does what we want it to. Doesn't seem to, does it? How very disappointing. I was expecting that to work. Oh well. Well, I will cut off to a time lapse now. Yeah. Enjoy. Okay, coming very swiftly back because it turns out that that drill is going to muck up a bunch of stuff for us on all of our slopes, so we are in fact going to have to remove that drill. Shame, I thought that was a really clever idea, but apparently drills don't interact with train tracks, which is a problem that I thought was solved by the rollers, because it used to be that building a machine to clear tunnels for you used to be a right pain in the backside, because drills would interact with train tracks. So they added rollers so that that problem wouldn't be a thing anymore, but then apparently not. So yeah, you can see it's created a bunch of holes, which I'm going to have to go through and fill manually apparently. Anyway. I'll go now, bye. there we go. That was unbelievably dull. It's not something I often bother doing. So yeah, that was, normally I just build my tracks really high up in the sky so I don't have to do that. But for you lot, I thought I'd at least try and make it a little bit pretty. Now, as you may be able to see, I ran out of cobbled deep slate and can build to go back. But we're going to be spending quite a lot of the next few episodes going backwards and forwards from here to our workshop, because we're going to be building farms over here, but I want to build a new workshop. So, yeah. Just while I brutally murder some creepers so that they don't blow up my track. Thank you very much for watching this Porcupine Play the Create mod. I hope you have enjoyed. I've been streaming more and more over on Twitch, and I'm getting like 3 people watching, but I'm enjoying myself, so who cares. But if you would like to come and watch, please do. I'm currently doing a playthrough of Astroneer, or of Sky Factory 4, both of which, yes, words, sentences, paragraphs. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, do come and have a look. Channel of the same name. Don't really have a schedule for that sort of thing. Yes. So, hey, and that hill over there is our new base location. So, yes, welcome, I suppose. Yeah, that is all. So please like, subscribe, do all the things that the algorithm likes. And I shall see you in the next episode. I shall bid you adieu. Goodbye, everybody.